Hi, welcome to Compliance Exchange, the podcast that brings you in depth discussion on the latest trends in the world of compliance. In today's episode, we'll talk about building a career in compliance, navigating constant regulatory change, managing high pressure situations, maintaining ethical standards, and achieving work life balance, along with Gina's insights on leadership, supporting women and minority in the professional field. So let's get started with Compliance Exchange episode with Gina Green.
Compliance Management Solution. Today we have with us Gina Green. Welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Priyanka. It's nice to be here.
A pleasure to have you. Gina is Executive Director of Women in Ethics and Compliance Global, a not for profit organization based out of Philadelphia. Gina has extensive experience in compliance, and she has managed compliance and implemented so many programs for so many corporations across the globe. She has been a very vocal member of the compliance community. She has been speaking on many platforms about various topics on compliance. And today, with Gina, we will be conversing about a very important topic about building careers in compliance. In my experience, I have never ever heard a young person say, I am looking forward to build a career in compliance. It's never been a career choice I've really ever heard from anyone. And this is despite the fact that all organizations, any business you name it across the globe, needs compliance to be managed. It's a key function, it's a very integral function in all organizations. We need compliance professionals across the globe, across functions, you name it, legal, IT, HR, trade, for any industry. But we don't have people really available, talent really available. And today we will converse with Gina to understand what we can do to bring awareness about making a career in compliance a career of choice. What skills do we need to advance a career? What would help to build a career which is a successful career with a work life balance? Typically, we see professionals in compliance management as professionals who really don't have much of a life beyond work. They are buried in books, they're always at the desk. But if I see the first time I met Gina, her amiable personality just endeared me, and her commitment and focus was so inspiring. So we'll have some insights from Gina today. But before we do that, Gina, I would love to ask you, what prompted you in the first place to make a career in compliance?
Hmm.
What,
That's a
were you always inclined towards it? What started the journey?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Priyanka. No, I was also one not uh, guided toward compliance right away. When I finished my studies in education, I actually became a school teacher, a science school teacher for middle school children. And that itself was quite interesting to be in the education field. Although the education field is something that is quite needed, especially in today's environment, I wanted to do something more. At the time when I started teaching, I didn't have children, but then I had two children, a son and a daughter, and I was able to take my thoughts and hopes of education into my family, into my home. So I wanted something else on the outside to fulfill that desire to do more. So I started looking into the banking industry because I felt like the banking industry would be something that it had some longevity to it. Within the banking industry, I wanted, again, to do more. I guess I'm that person that's always looking for more. And so I wanted to examine different roles within the bank. And one thing that really caught my attention was the BSA department. The BSA department handles bank secrecy acts. It deals with fraud. It deals with any money laundering, and other issues like that. So that really caught my attention, especially, Priyanka, when you turn on the news, there's just so many crimes that are considered victimless crimes. They consider them white collar crimes sometimes. Even the terminology has been global financial crimes. But you would hear these different instances. And I said to myself, well, why doesn't the bank catch that? Well, why didn't they see that coming? Like, how didn't they know? So that kind of piqued my interest a lot to really deep dive into a BSA department for a banking industry. Over the course of years, some of the banks, merge with others. Some of them go under, and some of them move on into different areas of focus. And that's okay. And I've done the same as well within my career. Some of the earlier banks I've left them and went on to others as well. But there's one thing that I found true still is that throughout the course of here in the United States, as well as globally, there's still a fight against global financial crime. It is still happening. It seems as soon as we get a handle, or what we think is a handle on an operation, there's a new one that springs up. So it is quite a fluid operation, and that interests me. So that's how I got into that whole background.
Thank you for sharing that, Gina. And you're so right. Financial industry has so much going on all the time. Lehman Brothers was, as you very rightly said, how can the banks not catch it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we had this whole, breaking apart of the whole economy, and which had ripple effects across the globe. So very rightly said, and this is always a very evolving industry.
Mm-hmm.
Gina, when you started with moving into compliance, was it more challenging than being a teacher, or was it similar? Or just wanting to understand, what are the challenges that you may have faced?
That's a nice question, Priyanka, because honestly, it's totally different. When you are an educator, there's a certain amount of individualism that you do have. You have to prepare for your classroom curriculum. You have to get to know your students. So there's some times when, yeah, you are alone. But there's also times when you're able to come together with other teachers and work concurrently with them. On the contrary, when you are in compliance, a lot of times you are alone for real, meaning that you could be in a large 500 Fortune company, and yet the compliance department is seen as the enemy or seen as the part to stay away from. I can recall earlier days, if you walk across a certain floor that was not your floor, right away you would hear the whispers. What's she doing down here? What did we do wrong? Right away, instead of realizing that we're there to help and work as a team, they would see you as the enemy or the person or the group or the department that's coming after them. So a lot of times, compliance officers have to get through the day feeling kind of pushed off, feeling kind of lonely and alone, which is not a great day to have. But having camaraderie with other compliance officers can help that along.
I understand, Gina, and I have heard to that effect from several people. There's a sense of very subtle hostility, even though
Yes.
you're colleagues in the same organization and you're working in the interest of the organization. So it's difficult to understand, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and I would have to add, now there are some similarities when I think about it in detail, like for instance, the desire or the need to stay abreast, to stay current, to stay relevant. Those would transpose into both fields too. But within compliance and ethics, it's even more of a absolute need to do so. Because again, we said it was a very liquid, fluid society, industry. So we have to make sure that we are on top of it.
Yes, that was actually something that I wanted to ask you, Gina, that one of the biggest challenges in this industry is just the new regulations that keep coming in, new laws that keep coming in. As such, the compliance industry is so complex. The laws and regulations are so complex, starting from your local laws and moving on into international laws. How challenging is it to keep up with them, and what can compliance professionals do? What is your advice? How can they keep up with it and make it more simpler, be less anxious about what might have changed and how to if they are missing out on something?
Mm-hmm. That's also interesting to say to this morning. So for example, there are quite a few common challenges that compliance officers and those that are looking to get into that field would find. I mean, it doesn't come without some bumps and bruises. For one, we already talked about staying up to date. Two, regulatory changes. Regulatory changes can happen frequently. And compliance officers and professionals, yeah, they have to be on the update for updates. They have to be on the lookout for updates. This can be challenging because sometimes they're coming out so fast. You might have just got something down and then you've heard, oh no, it's something else coming out. So it's important for us to stay awake on that. One of the best ways to do that is to go ahead and invest in ongoing education and training. So for example, there are different newsletters that come out quite frequently. They may come out with a cost, but isn't this something that's worth paying to make sure that you are up to date in the latest challenges and changes, and make sure that you are doing the best practices for your corporation or entity that you're working with? Another challenge that we are seeing from the compliance industry is to build a network. Again, we talked about feeling alone, being alone, but it's essential to have that part of networking within compliance, to find the right opportunities to connect with our peers, our mentors, and potential employers. And that's something that people kind of discount often. The idea of having a mentor. I myself, I have a mentor. As odd as it sounds, it's one of those things that keeps you grounded. Because guess what? There's always room for improvement. And sometimes when we look in that mirror, we don't see the room. We think we're good. But by having a mentor, it can prove beneficial for your personal as well as your professional development.
That sounds definitely a true challenge to keep up with the regulations, the new laws. And the suggestion that you stay very proactive at your own individual level to keep yourself well informed is so, I think it's really coming from your experience, and that's such great advice. We do tend to stay in the flow and miss out on the new, whatever newsletters might, of coming from various authorities. That's such a simple way to access information. And I know you also run a newsletter, and I subscribe to it, and I think that's a wonderful source of information for myself. I know just talking with you, I have always a takeaway from myself and how we can improve ourselves every single day. So yes, I would really advise everyone here listening in our audience to take Gina's advice and spend some focused time and a mindful effort towards networking and having a mentor if it's a possibility for you. Um, Gina, anything that you would like to talk about? I know in your own career, you must have faced many stressful situations. There are situations where an organization has the stakeholders coming from the organization, the regulators, the auditors, the various authorities and compliance officers are managing very stressful situations, especially if there's a situation of a lapse in compliance, and many a heavy penalty may be, on the cards, or loss of reputation, loss of business. What is your advice to compliance professionals where they can find a balance between the demands coming from the stakeholders, as well as maintaining very strict ethical practices?
Yeah, that's the balance that we all juggle. Honestly, we have to find a balance for that because prioritizing communication is actually what it boils down to. You know, compliance professionals can prioritize communication with stakeholders or senior management, again, across the whole organization, because they really, at the end of the day, want to ensure that the communication is on the same page. It is true that while others may have their thoughts of what should be first or pushed toward the forefront, in order for us to work cooperatively and successfully, we must align the business goals together. So that's something that we definitely have to look into. And when you mention about ethical behavior, we have to foster that ethical behavior throughout the organization. So we have to promote honesty, integrity, transparency. And within transparency, you have to be willing to communicate what you were told from someone else or what your thoughts is. And that's why we at Wet Global, we really suggest and encourage the speak up culture. Don't be afraid to communicate. It's really important for every organization.
So true. You are the expert and you're here for a reason, so please do speak up. That's such wonderful advice. Thank you, Gina. You are seen as a professional with a great reputation and you have established yourself as a thought leader, leading from the front for the compliance community. I know it has taken you years and years of hard work. So much commitment and so much effort has gone into this. I wanted to ask you, for the compliance professionals who might be seeking positions of leadership, aiming for leadership roles, what would your advice be? What would help them to get there?
Well, I have two great starting points, I should call them. The first one would be your compliance education. I cannot overemphasize the need to be able to read, explain, discuss various matters within the field of compliance industries that you want to be in. Yes, it's going to take some time. I won't sit here and tell you in other words. It will take time, it will take energies, but you need that foundation. You need a strong foundation. And the second thing I would say is you need to build a network within this field. So many times, Priyanka, I look and I see some people that send over resumes for various openings that we may have within WEC Global, and asking for speakers and asking for blog writers. But when we look back at what they've done or look into their social media pages, there's not enough information. There's really not enough information to identify the person I'm looking at. So it's important to build that network. And yes, there are a lot of social media channels out there now, but you just have to really choose one. You have to choose one, dive in, and become effective in your networking. Don't be afraid to put some information out there, such as even a face picture. Some professionals decide not to put a picture out. Well, we're in the world now of virtual, yes, but we still need to be physical. We still want to see who you are. We still resonate as humans when we see one another. So those will be my two main striking points. Don't be afraid to educate yourself and continually educate. And then two, start building that network in compliance.
That's wonderful advice. Put yourself out there. That is something not all of us are comfortable with, but that is a comfort zone we need to step out. Yes, I agree with you, Gina, on that. Gina, one of the challenges that we have often heard in the area of compliance is people don't really get a work-life balance. If they are buried in books, they have long hours, and they really are not having any scope left. And it's a very, very exhaustive and stressful job. How true is that? And have you been able to find a work-life balance for yourself?
That is an excellent question, Priyanka. Managing stress and burnout is indeed a challenge, and it really has increased, unfortunately, since COVID. The pandemic has come upon us. Many of us are mothers and wives and the gatekeepers of the household, as it is. Perhaps we're even a sandwich generation taking care of our parents. So you throw all that along with the demands and challenges of our work, and there becomes an immediate amount of stress that is really heavy for most women. So one of the things that we encourage over at WEC Global is that you build a support system. Compliance professionals can build support systems such as a mentor or a peer group, and that can help them to manage the stress and avoid burnout. This is something that is really encouraged. It will provide a really good sounding board for you and give you some great advice and encouragement and support when you need it. That's one thing you'll find over at WEC Global. We are truly concerned about a woman's mental health. And so when we do our events and programs, that's something we take serious. Are we addressing the mental health awareness for all of our women? And while we are an organization that's diverse, we do accept men and other genders as friends of WEC. Our focus is on women because we realize that women are the sustainable future.
You are a woman yourself and you run an organization for women in ethics and compliance. And I can see that you have been putting effort to help female professionals advance their career in this space. Um, any advice for female professionals or even professionals coming from minority sections of the society? What could help them find a footing, a solid footing in this space and have a very viable career?
Yeah, that is an excellent question, Priyanka. It's excellent for me because I am a double minority. And so I'm always seen as a little bit different. And that's something, again, that we really have to hone in on because we are going to be perceived a certain way, but it doesn't have to be who we are. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me just break it down a little bit further for you. It is okay if we speak in a volume that we're comfortable with. It is okay if we have an accent when we speak. And that time, sometimes when we are in these various companies and corporations and we're dealing with those who don't look like us, we may have a tendency to shrink down, shrink back, hold our thoughts. Even though they're good, we might hold on to them because we feel inadequate. So we need to start developing things that will build our self-confidence and will make us know that what we have to say is important, it is worth listening to, and we can and we should speak up and speak out.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for sharing that. I hope our audience feels encouraged to pick a career in compliance and advance their careers. I hope they have some great takeaways that they found today from Gina's insights and they're able to apply them in their career. If you wish to follow Gina, I would absolutely encourage all of you to follow Gina and her work. Please visit Women in Ethics and Compliance Global, also known as WEC Global. Am I right?
Yes.
Is there a certain handle, Gina, that you would like our audience to reach out at?
Well, we are on most social medias. Our most prevalent is LinkedIn. We love visiting visitors that come on LinkedIn, and you can just find us under Women in Ethics and Compliance Global. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And we'd love to have your membership. If you visit us over at www.wec-global.org, and you would be able to join us and become a member. We do have an open membership right now where we provide events. Priyanka, we have those networking engagements that we spoke of. We have that platform where you don't have to feel alone. We have a situation where we are constantly delivering updated news, events, and regulation changes around the world, which is why we're considered global. We do the extra to make sure you don't have to. We're giving you support. So we encourage your followers and your guests of today, visit us, become one with us.
You and your organization are doing such impactful work and providing such a supportive platform to the compliance community. And I don't think we thank you enough. We do need professionals in compliance space as we at Compliance Card deal with a lot of organizations. And I know there's always a demand for professionals in this space. And I do hope some of us feel encouraged to advance our careers here and also to maybe suggest this as a career choice to within our own network. And for our audience, if you have not yet subscribed to Compliance Exchange, I would request you to do that. I completely welcome you and invite you to subscribe to our podcast channel. We will continue to have a dialogue on various topics on compliance with various thought leaders like Gina, and we look forward to having you. Your suggestions are very valuable to us. Please do reach out and send in your recommendations for topics or suggestions how we can improve the podcast and what would be beneficial and useful for you. You can reach out to us at contact@complianceexchange.com. Thank you again for being here, and thank you, Gina, for being a speaker today.
Thank you, Priyanka.